Southern Soul Livestream is a weekly talk show and music hangout where the hosts learn your name and just might remind you of a favorite relative. We spotlight fascinating people, discuss current events, and pay special attention to lifting up generations. So if you want to know more, learn more, be more, or just be, Southern Soul Livestream is the place for you. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern. Just log on, kick back, and experience the eclectic vibe. Check us out at soullivestream.com.
What's up? What's up, brother? I am so excited about our show tonight. I was doing the numbers, man. I ran the numbers, and what was it, 10, 15 years ago when we first met?
At least between 10 and 15 years ago, man. Yeah, it's been a minute.
Oh, man. And I mean, 10 to 15 years ago, Durham, North Carolina, you doing your thing. I can't even remember, right? I'm looking at my notes, and it's like, I think maybe you were out promoting or something. I was out promoting. I don't know what it was, but some kind of way we ran into each other.
Yeah, it's one of those things, man. You back in the day, Durham wasn't as populous as it is now. You know what I mean? So if anybody was making moves, you'd link up, and next thing you know, you're rubbing elbows by somebody who's probably going to make some moves in the future. So that's why we're here.
Hey, that's all right, man. That's all right. I love your story because you ended up in Durham, but you always wasn't in Durham, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm like, what were you? You were like in Virginia, in Atlanta, and then you end up in Durham? Yeah. But before we get there, let's go ahead and get started. Tell me, how did you get started? Like, have you always been an artist? Have you done other stuff? What's your origin story? How did you get started?
Yeah, I guess I've been an artist, but I kept that tucked in. So along the way, I did a whole lot of other things, you know what I mean? And then I just kind of resorted back to what the passion was, the art and that true, genuine feeling of the next level. And it was art. But along the way, I did many, many, many things, which helped become an artist. It actually made being an artist a little bit easier because, I traveled some places and did some things and learned some things. So art was the absolute positive, proper thing to fall back on.
That's all right.
Yeah, man.
I love what you just said. You fell back on art.
Yeah.
Man, like how amazing is that? I mean, if I'm looking at the beauty of your art behind me, the art behind you, you fell back on that? Yeah. That's like crazy, man.
Yeah, I fell back because, as a young guy, younger guy at the time, I wasn't sure what I should do or what the actual passion should be, or what was in store for me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So I actually ran through a lot of things. I did a lot of things in the process. I started off doing art back in the day, my grandparents, my grandma's, beauty salon. And
tell us about the grandparents. I love that part of your story.
Yeah.
So your grandmother, she has a beauty salon where?
Yeah, in Louisa, Virginia. Represent Louisa, the 540 to 757. Back in the day, that's how we do rural routes, country roads, cows and pigs and stuff like that. But my grandparents raised me from a small guy. And, they were all about, tough love and work hard to get what you want. And, my grandmother had a beauty salon that she ran for years, up until about maybe 6 years ago. That kind of got my, I had examples of hard work. I had examples of entrepreneurial ship. My granddad was, worked hard and with gardens and he raised several kids before me. So, it was a grandparent situation I was in. It was all about you got to go, if you want it, go get it.
Hey, that's all right. Yeah. I can totally relate with that part of growing up, watching grandparents work and do things, and the things that they would have us do, right? Yeah. For example, my grandmother would have me churn butter. And people are like, you ain't old enough to be churning no butter. I'm like, I don't know my grandma.
Wow.
Yeah, churning butter, making, what do they call them, preservatives? But for you, your grandmother, she had a salon in the basement, right?
Yeah.
And with the salon in the basement, she would have you do artwork for that salon, right?
Yeah, as a small kid, I would always draw things around the house, but I think, I was a mischievous kid. You know what I mean? I was, if I wasn't doing something around the house, I was probably doing something I probably had no business doing. So my grandma reeled me in, and had me, I would create her signs, when it would say, a curl is $10 or, a color is whatever. So, I would create her list.
Okay.
Style. So it really became, I became a stickler about, lines and structure and how things should be spaced, because she wouldn't let me get away with doing it halfway. So
okay.
I had to really hone my skills to make sure that I was giving her what she wanted for her clientele. So the more I've done, the more I kind of got into it, and it's almost like Miyagi. Before I knew it, I had developed this sense of structure. This is way before drawing trees or my grandparents' parents.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So started there.
Well, that's all right, because a part of your story I was watching, right, is that you're making signs for grandma, right? So for her salon, right, to let people know how much stuff costs. Yeah. But grandma was like, that ain't good enough. Go do it again. Right.
Yeah. And that's a small thing, because before I started coming in the house and do things for the signs, I was doing things outside. My grandfather was making sure that whatever was going on outside, I paid attention to, because it was more than just cutting grass. It was, we had acres of garden. We had tractors and things of that nature that, that had certain, they were particular, and you had to do things in a certain process, in a certain way. So my granddad really instilled that way, which was probably the hardest way possible of doing things. And I think, almost looking back, he taught me that way to do it the absolute hardest, just so when it became easy, it was just easy. You know what I mean? So, from lots of things.
You got me thinking, right? And what I'm thinking is, somebody asked me the other day, because I was moving some stuff around, they said, did you measure that before you moved it? I'm like, no, I didn't measure that. Man, I don't need to measure that. I already know. But, tell me about military. Because even though you have this obvious gift, it wasn't necessarily something that your grandparents may have recognized and put you through art school. Right. Tell us about the military. Yeah. What made you go to the military?
I graduated at 17. And in the small town of Louisa, I was probably doing nothing, although I had many opportunities to do. I had a lot of skill level. I could have done a lot of things, but at that time I wasn't. I joined the military because I had to do something. My grandparents weren't going to have me just doing nothing and being an idiot. So I decided to join the military, and it was the best thing I ever done in my life, actually. For one, I was already groomed for the military. There wasn't a drill sergeant or anybody tougher than my grandma. So I was already raised that way my entire life. I knew structure, I knew discipline. So it was the most amazing thing, especially from a country boy like myself.
Okay.
My granddad had acquired up to 100 acres of land, and didn't get out of high school. You know what I mean? So I was raised in a place that was tough all the way. So when I got to the military, it was really simple. I knew that it took hard work to whatever I was trying to achieve there. Whatever my job was, which was a job that required a lot of leg work, a lot of strong back moves, a lot of tough long hours in that job. So I was already primed for that. And it took me all over the world. I mean, my very first duty station, right out of Louisa, Virginia, I was in Italy. 6 months after graduation, I was in Italy, living the life, thinking I'd made it. Just turned 18. I'm over there, doing some cargo handling stuff with the battalion I was with, and from that point forward, we just traveled and we did a lot of hard work. I've seen every possible part of the world, but after Italy, I did go to Desert Storm for 8 months. So that was a wake up call. They dropped me in the service. It was all Gucci for a minute, and then they woke me up with a little bit of Desert Storm. So that was a big change. But it was great. It was great. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better 4 years. I saw everything. I met tons of people, those I probably never would have met. The cultures, the colors, the lights, everything was just amazing in the United States Navy. you know, and
So
that's probably something different than some people might say, but
well, you know, I'm glad you said it, because one of the things that I love about your story, dude, I don't know if you are the eternal optimist, but you always have, right, some great experiences, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I know people, they like, I went to the military and it was hard and it was whatever and it paid the bills. You be like, nah, man, I had a great time. I mean, I think you saw pyramids. You went to the South Pole too, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was in Antarctica for a total of 12 months. I was there. I mean, Antarctica, New Zealand, Christchurch, Egypt, Ireland. You name it. I mean, the pyramids and just doing some things I never even imagined existed. I was involved with people I never met. You know, I even rode a camel back in the day. So that's okay. That tells you that's crazy in itself. So
well, I'm pretty sure on that 100 acres, you probably rode something else, but
I rode some camels. Yeah, I mean, I rode some camels, but they had it was called a tractor.
Oh, okay, a tractor. All right. You know, that's how I got my first driver's license, driving a tractor.
Yeah, you know.
People don't realize it. Yeah. I always tell a story. The way you get your driver's license in Texas is your grandma write a letter, say, give my son a driver's license. They're like, he ain't did no test. Grandma said, he been driving his tractor for 2 years. Give my son a driver's license. And I've been driving ever since.
Hey, listen, that's how it works. You know, my children are city boys. They have no idea what that even sounds like or feels like. So,
oh man, I'm not going to even go there, because anybody who know me, I'll talk for hours on that one topic alone. Hey, I'm going to pause. Hey, so tell me this, Darius. You know, I'm thinking about this tour abroad. I mean, you got this thing. You're not really doing art, but maybe you're doing a little bit, right? But you're out here and you're seeing the world. You're seeing the planet, right? This country boy, right? I have to believe that some of this kind of influence your art, right? I mean, what's your take? What are the things you saw that really kind of maybe stuck with you to this day?
Yeah, well, it did. You know, the whole time I was in the military, I never picked up a pencil to draw.
Okay.
I never drew my entire 4 years. I think I was just dedicated on trying to either get out or, you know, go on to the next particular duty station. But I had so many people around me that were drawing. I mean, they were really talented artists. I mean, really talented servicemen who were artists on the side. And I would sit back and I would watch them. You know, I never got in their way. I never thought I was good enough, basically. But I would learn. I would watch how they would do it, and I would just sit back and I would learn. And then after I got out, then I put all the stuff I learned. I put that into one thing. I just really channeled that. And it was funny because, you know, we never talked about it. I never talked about it with any of these guys. I just watched them. I just sit back and I watched and I waited. And eventually I decided to give it my all and give it my shot. And that's how I ended up where I am in so many ways.
Well, I love that story because things are going good. But then I also know your story where you ended up in Atlanta. Now, people who don't know Darius, you know, I can spot him. You know, his last name is Quarles. Not to be confused with the word quarrelsome, right?
Quarrelsome, yeah.
Yes. So you ended up in Atlanta, right? Tell us how you ended up in Atlanta in your academic career. I see Nakota's on there. Nakota, hold tight. We're doing the interview right now, and we're going to get to you right shortly. So tell us about Atlanta and your when you got started in your college career.
Yeah, so I got out the military in '94. And I wasn't sure what I wanted to do, but my biological mother lived in Atlanta at the time. And so I was feeling architecture was my move. So I attended Morris Brown College.
Okay.
And that only lasted about 2 or 3 months. Just because I was actually overqualified for college life. By numbers, you know, I was, 23, going to college. I'd already seen the world. I'd done so many adult things, you know what I mean? I've been in war, you know what I mean? So I went to college and to Morris Brown, and that didn't work because I wasn't focused, you know what I mean? And architecture, I found wasn't my thing. So I dropped out for a couple of years, and I just basically hustled the streets. I mean, I wasn't out here living on the streets. I had many jobs, I had real jobs, but I still was hustling, trying to find what's my niche? Where can I gain the most, for myself, for what I want to do, with what's instilled in me, what's been learned in me. So Then I actually, after about a year or so, I ended up going to another college, American College, the International, American International University, which is in Buckhead, which is close to the Atlanta College of the Arts, maybe I think is what it's called. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Private college. Went there for almost like 2 semesters. Killed the game. I studied color theory, which is the color wheel, which is like my wallet. It's like my Bible. And I went there and I learned what colors do to each other and how they complement and how they move and how they should work. I studied that, and then I dropped out. Of semesters. I was holding a 4.0. I dropped out of 2 semesters. Atlanta's a big city. You know what I mean? It was pulling at me. I'd been there for 3 or 4 years. So
well, it's funny. It's funny that you mentioned Atlanta because eventually we're going to talk to a buddy of mine who loves art.
Yeah.
And he's also a Virginia country boy who, he know what it's like to be pulled in by Atlanta, but keep going.
Let me tell you something. Us country boys have no idea until we just land in the middle of it. So I got to Atlanta and it was I had a great time. It wasn't all peaches and cream. I got into a little bit of trouble when I was there, just because I was just in the mix. You know what I mean? I wasn't mature enough to really understand my plight at that time. It was a little bit of hints. I was getting a little bit of information, a little bit of knowledge I was gaining from Morris Brown and, living in Atlanta and knowing certain people and moving in the circles that I moved in, gave me a lot of knowledge. So after I dropped out of the AIU, I just started hustling on my own. I just tried to get into certain pockets to where I could be seen. You know what I mean? But that didn't last that long. And I moved back to Virginia for a little bit. Well, actually, I moved to North Carolina after that.
Well, before we go there, I want to highlight a few points that I love about your story. As you can see, I admire this, right? I love so many things. People who know me, I'm going to say OMG, but for people who count my OMGs, I got a new one, right? It is LIG. Life is good. So life is good, right? Life is good. One thing I love to respect and admire about a man is that sometimes it's not a straight path. Yeah. People ask you questions like, oh, how did I get to this point, right? And they want to see point A to point B. Yeah. They don't understand the journey, right? Oh, so on your journey, you met some cool people in Atlanta. Tell us about Swiss Beats.
Oh man, Swiss and I were homies back in the day. I mean, probably when he was a senior in high school, I met Swiss. I lived on one block like Rockbridge, and he lived 2 blocks down on Fond du Lac.
Okay.
And Swiss was at my house every night. I mean, when Swiss would first do parties, I was, again, I was a hustler. Don't y'all tell nobody, but I would help him get his blank CDs, and he would make these CDs, and he would do these street parties, and we became friends. And he was big into art back then, and and so we would come over and we would work out certain things. We would do art, for hours at a time, and then my mom would kick Swiss out, and Swiss go home. I'd take Swiss home, and that would be what it is. That was what it was. And we would do that for a long time, and just other people like with the Goody Mob and Outkast back in the day would sit on the walls, at the AUC, and I was just around a lot of people, man, that were into music, and I just really truly fell in that pocket of people. So I was meeting people that I just didn't know were going to be the people they are today. You know what I mean? Wow. And just the stories I got, and Swiss Beats and Swiss and I we have yet to cross paths again. We had a show about 7-8 years ago up in New York. It's written in the Huffington Post. I was on a flight headed to that show, but the flights got canceled, my wife and I, so we never linked up again in art.
Okay.
And it's kind of a crazy thing, but it's what it is. You know what I'm saying? So big up to cross paths with him, and I'm probably a better artist though.
That's all right. I want to mention a few things about your hustle, right? Your flow.
Yeah.
Tell us about what your grandma told you when she found out, or maybe heard, or maybe, some kind of way had an idea that you were getting into trouble. What did grandma say about what you learned out there?
Well, I don't know. She said a lot of things. She said a ton of things. My granddad too. My granddad. They like, listen, we didn't teach you this. So basically, whatever you're doing out here, you're on your own. You didn't learn it from us. So if you're trying to be bigger than what you're doing, that's something you're doing on your own. And basically, if we can get you out of trouble, we'll turn you in if you're doing things that are so crazy. But at the same time, just know that you didn't learn that from here.
Mm-hmm.
We gave you all the tools to do it properly. And if you choose not to use that, then so be it. And honestly, probably like some of my own kids, probably taking information and be like, you know what, whatever, dad, or whatever, mom, whatever, grandma. But you know, in time, those things, those words come back to actually be true.
Well, you know, I appreciate that,
You know what I mean?
because, you know, I think that's just one of the tough parts, right? Yeah. I mean, you know how we are as people, right? We just got to learn the hard way. Yeah. But I love the way you describe it. Where grandma say, "Hey, you do whatever you do in these streets, but you ain't learn that here." No, right?
Yeah. You know, and I think, and it's funny because I do believe that they honestly, if I were going to fail, then I needed to fail on my own. I needed to fail hard. It needed to be somebody what they could not get me out of. And when I did that, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I mean, I have not been squeaky clean. I've done some things that maybe would have taken me off of this path that I am right now. I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you guys, you know, if I would have maintained that road, you know what I mean? But, you know, it's good to have a great base. The base was so good. The base was great. You know what I mean? It's almost like reading it directly and just actually seeing the diagrams on how to make these moves. You know, my grandparents, they gave it all to me, you know, so they would feel like they didn't do their job if I were to go out here, or any of their children were to go out here and make these moves in a negative way. So,
you know, being a guy who definitely, my dad's mother spent a lot of time raising me, let's say up until 10 or 12, right? Yeah. But one thing I recall from is a lot of my virtues, a lot of my, you know, disposition, management, I can't even say it. But I like the way you describe it. It was that foundation, right? You may get out there, but you come back. Yeah. So the reason why, before we go to Durham, because you were talking about when you moved to Durham, right? And Dakota, just so you know, I'm claiming it now. This brother is the father of the Durham Renaissance. So go ahead and tell Dakota. We had already claimed it. I know Dakota I know your wife from Durham, because we knew Durham back when Durham wasn't cool, right? You know what I mean? Back before, you know, it was the fancy, whatever it is now, top places to live. Yeah. So, but the one thing I love about your art is this, Darius, is that ever since I saw your art, I'm like, you had a different look, I couldn't, when I was doing the marketing, I'm like, maybe I'm going to put urban, but I can't put urban in there because it's not urban. Yeah. But it was hip. It had a flair that wasn't boring. It just had energy. It was intense, right? Yeah. And I used to always wonder, every time you came out with a new piece, I was like, where did this brother get this from? Yeah. But when you talk about your Atlanta and who you kicking it with, it begins to shape your story that gave you, what I believe gave you the eye to create this art. What are your thoughts about that? And then take us to Durham when you moved to Durham.
Yeah. You're right about that. I think initially I've been different. I was different from the gate. You know what I mean? I thought different. I was doing things different, taking it back to Virginia. You know, I wasn't going to Friday night lights. You know what I mean? My Saturday mornings, I was, you know, my shoes was off and I was walking behind a tractor, you know what I'm saying? Trying to, you know, drop these white potatoes. So all that came from just, you know, thinking different. Now I'm out here behind a tractor, my homies at the game, you know? so how do I, you know, take my mind out of that, right? How do I get out of that? So I began to, like, you know, just daydream of sorts. And so I think as I got older and started to put some colors to them lines, my daydreams became this surreal stuff that was happening because, you know, I had so many things going on within one pot. You know what I mean? It's like this gumbo of ideas that I tended to actually, now I've evolved to when it comes to surrealism. You know, I got, you know, Guru said it. We got mad formulas. You know, it just depends on which one you want. What, you know, Guru said that a minute ago. Which one do you want? You know, we got plenty of styles. So I think that when my art comes into the picture, I got things I can talk about. I've seen, I've heard, and if I can't really produce it as far as craft it like most artists would do, I'm gonna do my best to give you the idea, and then you figure it out. So I give you 30 ideas, then it's all in harmony. Then you figure it out. So now in 2021, I've honed certain skills as far as painting goes. But my story is still the same. I give you a ton of things in once. But when I got here to Durham, so I moved here in Durham in like 99.
Okay.
That's
around the time I got there. I got there in 90, actually 99 is when I got there. 98, 99 is when I first moved to Durham.
Yeah. So look at that. It was something in that season.
Mm-hmm.
I got here to Durham in 99, at the time, my girlfriend, my oldest son, Noah, his mom was leaving Atlanta to go to UNC. So I followed her here. And pretty much I was here, with no college degree, just trying to find my way. I had 3 or 4 jobs at one time and still hustling, still trying to make moves, still stuck in that little hustle vein that was still
the hustler still coming back.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I'm like 25, 26, 27 at that time. So I moved here and I fell in love with the city.
Oh.
And honestly, I had nowhere to go for the most part. I mean, I wasn't going to go back home with grandma. They had already look, you did your thing. You're too old now. Make your moves. So I ended up staying here, and I found a little in the paper. I think, I would do things trying to get my art out there, trying to find shows. I would ride around with my 17-year-old in the back seat, and I would just put flyers in mailboxes, and and I wasn't even a really good artist at the time, but I just wanted somebody to give me an opportunity. So I moved to Durham with this idea, like if I just flood you with enough information, you'll eventually give me a chance, right? So that's kind of how it was, man. And I ended up falling in love with the city of Durham. And I mean, I'm taking back some, because when I first moved here, I was on probation.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'm real talk with the people. I mean, ain't nothing to hide. So
yeah, it ain't nothing to hide. And I tell you a good story. I want to hear why you there.
Yeah,
I want to hear the story about when you're putting flyers in the mailbox.
Yeah.
What happened with the mailman?
Well, so the mailman was like, yo, he picked up my flyers and he read my address. So he came to my house like, yo, you can't put these flyers in the mailboxes no more. This is against the law. And I was like, well, damn. So, okay, damn, I got shut down. So now I got to find out a different way to make it. So, of course, I dug in the crates and thought about some things. But when I got here, after that, I mean, I was on probation. So one of my jobs was to be at the Durham Arts Council.
Okay.
So I just wanted to be around art. And then it was being a part of, then I got a job being part of the warehouses, the old tobacco warehouses in Durham. Mm-hmm. And that was in like early 2000, late 99. So, and I'm walking around, I'm listening, I'm this guy that's got, on papers at that time. But at that time, I'm learning about Durham. I'm learning about the city. I'm getting all this information about where I am. And
a city with a bunch of history, but we don't even know it got a history. It's like rich in heritage, but we don't even know it. That's why I'm calling you the father of the Durham Renaissance, because you there before it's cool, and you start seeing stuff. So tell us about this. Tell us about the history of Durham, right? Yeah. And some of the famous creators, right? Ernie Barnes. Let's throw that out there, right? Yeah. Give us the backdrop of the city you moved into that I moved in that nobody knew about.
Hey, nobody knew about it. I moved to this city and it was kind of like, wow, what's going on here? Of course, I was in a situation because I was just following love at the time. But I fell into the mix, and I'm in this city, and it's like, before I had no idea Ernie Barnes was from here. You know what I mean? And if you don't know Good Times, then you don't love Ernie Barnes, because when that joint comes on, if you those paintings in itself, if that don't create movement or energy and positivity, then nothing else does. And then I learned about just being in the tobacco industry. My granddad would talk about raising tobacco and bringing it to Durham, from Virginia, because that was the only place that actually would give the white and the black sharecropper or the same equal pay. So that was one of the first things I learned, and then I just learned about what 5 Points Gallery is. Malcolm X had one of his very first outdoor speakings right there in the courtyard, right between Main and Chapel Hill. There's so much stuff I learned about the builders of Duke. As a black man, and a lot of these things don't get talked about, but but all this information was being fed to me back in the day when I didn't know I needed it. You understand? So again, it showed itself 10 years later, or less than that, later about where I am, I just happen to fall into the pocket of everything that's going to mold me this, going forward. So Durham, the people of Durham, just everything in Durham. I mean, my very first art show was where the One City Center building is now.
Okay.
That used to be called the Mr. Shoe. It was green back in the day. Nothing in there. I recall my 17-year-old, now 17-year-old, being in a stroller, pushing into this art show, and it might have been 8 people in Durham, the whole city of Durham, and I brought 4 of them. So wow. It was nothing here. So over the next 21 years, I just became the ambassador to learn everything. I used my probation as a library. You know what I mean?
That's all right.
Best parts of my life. It gave me everything Durham had to offer. I knew all these people, met these people, white and black, and I just stayed grounded in. And that one warehouse I'm talking about, in 2017, I actually painted a mural on that warehouse wall where I did my probation 17 years prior.
Wow.
So I basically came in here as somebody on these papers, but I ended up 17 years later, the city's showing me love. So it was it was this whole 180. And it took Durham to actually make that positive for me.
I love that about you, Darius, and I'll give you your flowers, right? The things I've always admired about you is you've always been surrounded. First of all, family man. I don't know how many kids, but you got 10, 15 kids. I can't count them, right? But
I have about 37 kids. We all share different last names, but
But some of my inspiration of being an involved dad definitely comes from you. Because, man, like you said, you doing your grind, but your kids are right there with you. And I think did you meet your wife in Durham or somewhere around there?
Yeah. I met her late 99 and 2000. One of my 3 jobs, I worked at a hotel at the time. She came in, she applied for it. So I met her then. And I, fast forward maybe 4 years after that, we started having kids, and, starving artists, both of us was young, trying to make it, having kids. So I stayed home and raised all my children, so I learned to paint as I also warmed up formula.
Well, I'm going to give a shout out to the family because, dude, I've seen so many pictures of your family, your kids, and I know they like teenagers in their 20s now. I don't know, but I just remember when they were babies, right? You doing your hustle, and they are there. So, I mean, I just want to commend you on that because, a lot of people search for that passion. They search for that thing, right? Right. But they ask the question, like, how did you find it? Like, as if it took you 15 minutes. Yeah. No. And I like how we started this conversation. You fell back on art, right? Yeah. But family and the responsibilities could have pulled you away, but some kind of way it kind of, I don't know, pioneered your story, became a part of your story. So I commend you on that in doing that. So I just want to get a shout out to the family, shout out to the kids. I know daddy been painting and being crazy all of these years because that's what we do, right? But yet y'all still there and y'all here tonight. So I appreciate y'all for supporting this brother so he can find his passion, because it ain't nothing in life like finding your true calling and passion. I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, big up. You're right about that, man. Yeah, the family has definitely dealt through some creative mood swings and a lot of things along the way. But it's good because I can say that these kids they weren't in daycare, they were all raised here. So it was an evolution of a family here as we did things. You know what I mean? So like my grandparents was doing to me and silently teaching me these skills. My children have seen the hustle from $0 to actually being part of a gallery, 5 Points Gallery downtown, and just kind of watching both mom and dad kind of hustle along the way to make themselves to where the kids are comfortable, and they see this, they see the plight, they know what's going on, they know it's not easy, they know it takes some work, they know it's frustrating, and I think the best thing is any parent can do is don't even lie to your kids, let them know it's going to be difficult.
Mm.
And if you can, to give them an example, show them the hustle, show them the process, show them how difficult it is. And I just was lucky to be able to do so. So that's kind of me.
Well, yeah. I commend you on that, man, because I've definitely seen it happen. So let's talk about that. I mean, that's a formal topic. You're talking about the kids. Let's talk about legacy planning, right? I mean, have you tried to kind of convert the kids into, you know, mini Picassos, you know, artists? Have they fought you? Have you drove them crazy? Tell us about that. What's your thoughts on kids trying to get them to follow your passion, your talent? Should you try? Should you drive them crazy? I mean, what's your perspective?
Yeah, I did that. I drove them crazy. Actually, I probably took them out the game, because even when they were young, you know, they would show me things. They would paint and draw. And keep in mind, it was kind of like my kids and I were learning how to actually become an artist at the same time. But I was 30, and they were infants, you know, toddlers and in grade school and such. But, you know, they would come and they would do things for me, and I would be this, okay, well, I need for you to try to see if you can harmonize this tree with this house and give it a shadow. And can you make it have a, you know, does it make sense? Can the guy be walking this way? Can you put it, you know, I was putting too much pressure on them. But what I also did find out is that they have that. When I said I fell back on art, it might be a point in their life where they can fall back on art because they have the tools. You know what I mean? But they would rather, because I was so difficult in the process, they all probably would tell you that. And they've done great things. And they're going to have, if they fall back on art, it'll be the 5th, 6th, or 7th thing they fall back on, because they're really good at so many things before being really good at art. And I don't want them to be a great artist. I just want them to be great people. I want them to go out here, if you know, whatever it takes, just be good at it. You know, just don't follow, lead. That's the idea. Create your lane. You know, like a lot of my art, people always say, well, I haven't seen your art before. It's because nobody told me no. And I created my own style along the ways. And I evolved to what you see today. And I was given opportunity by, you know, my grandfolks they never said, be an artist, but they never said, don't be an artist. You know what I mean? So, you know, so I think that's part of it all. So like myself, if I decided to go out here and plant a garden for y'all, I could. So I'd fall back.
That's all right.
You know what I'm saying? So the idea is to be well-rounded. And I'm passing that on to them, be well-rounded. And if art's what you want to do, like, I have my oldest son, Noah. You know, he's really graphic. He does a lot of graphic stuff. You know, my daughter, Lyric, she's, you know, she has had Etsy slime businesses, and now she's doing jewelry. So the whole hustle's in their vein. That's something.
That's all right.
It's in their vein. So whatever they decide to do, it's all good. But if they're really good artists, I'm gonna be sure that I get credit for it.
Oh, all right then. You say you always sign my name under your name. So tell me what we're gonna do.
No doubt.
What I want to do, Darius, is I want to take a quick break, and we're gonna come back, and I got a couple more questions for you. And what I'm gonna do is this. I got a few of your pieces.
Yeah.
That I want you to I'm going to pick a couple of, I say your complicated pieces, like the one behind me. I'm not going to pick that one, but I want you to walk us through it, right? Because the way I understand it, right? Yeah. Each artist leaves a legacy, right?
Yeah.
A legacy that their art tells a story.
Yeah.
And what we want to do is give you that opportunity to tell a story of a few of your prints, right? Yeah. A few of your masterpieces, so that we can begin to understand what was going on. We know your story. We know where you're coming from. We know all of these experiences, military, urban, hip hop, love, lost, country, 100 acres. All of this stuff is there, right? Yeah. So we want you to kind of break it down for us. I'm going to pick a couple of them. And Dakota, hold tight. We're going to take a break. And I want you, Dakota, to share with us your love of art. So I invited Dakota here tonight. His schedule shifted. I expected him to be here earlier, but he came here later. So what we're going to do is take a break. And we're going to talk about the love of art. And I want to hear what your thoughts, Dakota, is. And then what we're going to do, Darius, we're going to come back and we're going to look at a couple of your pieces. Right. And I'm going to surprise you. So I guess I got to do that. But hey, you're the man. So you can tell us whatever you want to tell us. But we want you to tell us the story of what you were thinking when you created these pieces.
Sure.
Absolutely. All right. So hold tight, Dakota. I'm going to play this song. No, I can't play no song. Y'all know I'll be hitting these buttons. So, so let's take Dakota off me for a second. Tamika, spotlight Dakota.
Okay, hold on.
And while Nakota is talking, I'm going to be bringing up a couple of Darius's pieces because I want y'all to see what he's describing. Nakota, what's up, brother?
What's up, Darius? What's going on, bro? How you doing, doggy?
Good. I'm good. Sorry about your delay, man. I know you got a bunch of stuff going on, but I thank you for being here. Now, one of the reasons why I wanted Nakota to be here, like I said, we had planned for him to be here in the beginning, but he had some family things going on, is Nakota has a passion for art. And his passion for art, but at the same time, Darius, he's a country boy from Virginia, right? So this is what he did. He came down here to Atlanta, got brand new, and now all the boy do is buy art. Now, if he don't own none of your pieces, you need to find them because I'm telling you, that's all he do is buy art, right?
Hey, listen, well, we need to link up for real.
Yeah, because all he do, and another reason why I wanted Nakota to be here, because Nakota know everybody in Atlanta who love art. Okay. I'm like, man, come on, man, you got to make sure these people know about Darius. So we gonna, Darius, I'm gonna put you in contact with Nakota because me and Nakota, we're gonna do an exhibit. You know, when the world open back up, you know, and people get in these streets. Well, I think they're already in the streets. But I'm telling you, Nakota know everybody who love art in Atlanta. Oh, Nakota, tell us about your love of art, why you love art, and why you love the things that Darius has said tonight.
Yeah, one, big up to you, Darius, for the story and the journey that brought you to, you know, expressing yourself using art, man. Life is oftentimes the things that hurt us that bring the biggest joy to the world. Once we, you know, figure out what it is that we want to say. And, you know, I've been looking forward to trying to get up to Durham to get some time to come in and see some of your work. You know, for me, born and raised country boy, horse pasture, Virginia. And growing up in the country, I just never saw art. My whole expression of the world was through encyclopedias, Encyclopedia Britannica, and, you know, my imagination and reading books. Yeah. So it wasn't until I got to a bigger city that I started to see the cultural influences of African-American artists and art in its larger scape. Mm-hmm. And, you know, I would say that art collecting for me started young, you know, just finding things that resonated with me. Mm-hmm. And over the years, I think the first big piece when was done in Atlanta. And I don't think I looked back from there. And I think that's really the moment of inertia that anybody who gets into buying art is, you know, when you first buy a piece that you're like, this is not a paycheck. This is some money. Yeah. And, you know, from there, I don't think you look back much. You know, at that point, you start to realize that the purchase of the art, I am a custodian of African-American culture. And I didn't start out doing that, but it's certainly something that's become. And I encourage everybody to find art and it doesn't have to be expensive. It doesn't have to be something that's popular to everybody else. It's really just what's popular for what feels good for you. Yeah. And if you buy art sincerely just for yourself, you'll find that it's far more satisfying. And your money, I don't know, sometimes you spend money, but I have never looked at a piece of art that I've bought and said, I wish I hadn't bought that.
Right.
You know, I don't miss that money, but I do know how it makes other people feel. I know how it makes me feel. Yeah. I love when people come to our home and we can walk around and look at any of the art that we've purchased over the years and have conversations about it. And to see that kind of seed being planted in other people and start them out on their own budding career or art collecting. And, buying one piece, great. Buy two pieces, great. If you never buy another piece after that, so what? But the bigger thing is when you buy art, you're also telling the artist that I value you. I value you as a human person. I value you and the things that are your journey that brought you to that canvas and your expression of whatever that is that you're trying to share with us. And that is that is one of the broken links within the African American community.
Yeah.
Is we lost the part of valuing another person, especially in the art world. You know, we can look and we say, hey, we'll spend some money for a concert, you know, because, you know, but I mean, it's a form of art. But as far as like saying, hey, I want to buy this piece and put it on my wall, you go far, your money goes so much further for the people that you're supporting, the artists that you're supporting, and also you become a custodian. So there's, I guess, in a nutshell, Calvin, if you're asking, that's some of the fringe benefits of, you know, being so many pieces of art in. I'm really grateful that I find artists. For me, when I collect now, I like to spend time. I'll probably come out to your studio, meet you, drink some brews, tell some stories. You know, for me, it's an investment in the person as much as it is in buying a particular piece.
Yeah. Amen. I mean, that's real, Nicole. Thank you for blessing us with that, man. Because, you know, I didn't sit here tonight and I said so much, but, you know, it's one thing, like you said, it shows the artist that you value them, their story. And the more I talk, you know, because when I went through this interview, I just got so excited. I'm like, oh, I like this and I like this and I like this inspiration. And for example, let me tell you about one of my favorite pieces, and maybe you can tell me about one of your favorite pieces, and then we're going to switch, and Darius can give us a breakdown of some of his pieces. The story that you told kind of resonates with me, and I can now even see Darius work through another lens. I've always wondered why it touched me in a way it did. I could never really put my finger on it, right? But what you said is that, you know, sometimes you fall in love with a person's work because you value them. And I truly do value this brother, right? So, but one of my favorite pieces was, I'm just gonna call it Black Moses, right? So anybody who know me, they know I've had a eclectic, eccentric background, Renaissance man. I do everything from country boy to fine wine, but at the same time, I still stay close to the earth. Yeah. You see, some people, they get fancy, sophisticated, and they float out of earth, right? But some kind of way I like staying down close to gravity, right? But one of my favorite pieces is a Black Moses, and it has so much in it. And it's beautiful. And he has a face like mine. He has a beard like mine. He's scruffy like me, right? He has Afrocentric features like me. Yeah. And he's parting the Red Sea. Yeah. And that piece alone tells a whole different spiritual story for me. And another reason is because Noah is my favorite character in the Bible. You know why? Not Noah, I'm sorry, Moses. Okay. Because this brother had issues. Until Moses, I had never seen anybody who was a leader but so flawed. Yeah. From stuttering to trying to kill people to, you know, anger problems. This brother got problems, right? Yeah. But he tried it. Yeah. And he never gave up. So every time I see that piece, I see myself. Yeah. As an imperfect brother that got from fine wine, from bougie to hood. You're going to hear everything come out of my mouth at any given time. In one sentence, you're going to get all flavors, right? Yeah. And that's what that piece did for me every time I look at it. In a similar way, when I look at Darius's work, I'm seeing this mix of hip, of urban, of energy, of contemporary. It's for us. And I begin to feel that. So I thank you, Dakota, for sharing that with us, man. And I thank you for taking away for family time so you can just share that moment with us. But I'm going to do a project real quick and get Darius to walk us through some of our pieces. Then we're going to do some Q&A. But Dakota, feel free to share with us one of your favorite pieces while I do this technology setup.
One of mine? Mm-hmm. Oh, I don't know. The piece I'm about to buy is my next favorite piece.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, that's pretty dope. You know, I wanted to ask you, Darius, as far as like paintbrushes, what's your medium that you use? Are you acrylic or are you gouache? What you got going, bro?
Yeah, I started off in gouache. 15 years ago, 17 years ago, I started in gouache, but I'm all acrylic now.
All acrylic.
One oil painting And that was probably 20 years ago, and I would never do that again. That was the most frustrating thing I'd ever done in my life. So I had to get in where I fit in, and gouache was the entry level, and then I just kind of
gravitated away.
Held into the acrylics, and acrylics are my jam, no doubt. Yeah,
I heard that gouache, the what makes it so difficult is how absolutely fast it dries.
Yeah,
it's like as soon as it's on the canvas, you're on borrowed time.
Yeah, and it's crazy because when I was in art school at the American Intercontinental University, whatever, AIU, I used gouache then for some of the class projects. So I really got good at gouache actually, but they were drying too fast for what I wanted to do. So I had to step it up, and acrylics was the next best thing. So that is my medium. That's how I like to roll these days.
Yeah, this piece that's in front of us is dope on so many different levels.
Oh man, this.
So Darius, take us through it. Tell us what's going on here, because when I saw this, first of all, I'm amazed.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Walk us through it. What were you thinking? What was going through your mind? Right.
Yeah. So honestly, with this piece, I was kind of not in a good way. I was angry. I was mad at I was upset with a few people as this painting took place. So within it, I was trying to throw shots at being the queen or being the king, yet being the elephant in the room. At the same time, you're eating your snout. You got more than one eye, and they're sideways, and they're everywhere. And it was just a bad. Honestly, I was actually in my feelings when I done this, and I sketched it probably in an hour. While I was in that zone, and I painted it the next day. So there are times when I have these moments where I'm either angry, mad, sad, whatever, and I would just create a piece. Like, it's like Jay-Z getting to the mic and just doing a record, no cuts, no takes. This was one where it was all about my emotions. And instead of me lashing out and being a jerk, I think it's better for the art if I just put these feelings on canvas. And this was one of those pieces that composes of maybe 8 different emotions. Nothing nice except for the crown. And someone bought it because they saw it and it made sense to them. So it was funny for me that this one actually sold, but somebody else understood this moment because this wasn't a good moment for me.
You're fine.
Although it was therapeutic, after I painted it and signed my name, I was no longer upset because I got it all out. So this piece right here has a lot to do with a lot of emotion.
Awesome, man. That earns a Daddy Rich OMG. Because when I looked at this piece, I saw a lot, but now I see so much more.
Yeah, it's artists, we are sensitive people. We are sensitive people. And I'm definitely sensitive. And sometimes I use these things as practice. Instead of me losing it like I would have done, decades prior, because things didn't go my way or I'm not understanding why somebody's not on my same page. This is my out now. You know what I mean? I can potentially eat off of this energy if there's somebody who understands it. So instead of losing it, I just put it all on paper, put it all on canvas. And lots of times the best work comes from that immediate emotion. So that's exactly what it came from. And We'll be good now. I'm good now.
That's all right. You say you're definitely feeling good after you sold it, huh?
Oh, well, it's funny. It's funny because I don't think that lots of times for me, when I do things like that, the surreal pieces that are emotive, I never intend to sell them.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because it'd be great if somebody purchased it, but my intention is to maybe show it, get it out, and bring it home. You know what I mean? Because it's truly a personal piece. Things like that. But I'm always lucky if somebody actually understands what I'm talking about and has gone through it before. So,
That's all right. Now, I think this is going to be the favorite, not my all-time favorite, but the favorite of the ones you shared with me.
Yeah.
Tell us about this one, Darius.
The Green Girl. So, wow, the Green Girl. The Green Girl, this is probably the 10th version of this particular piece. All the pieces are the same silhouette, basically, of this lady kind of looking down with a head wrap, perhaps. And the idea was given to me by a friend years ago, but I've made it my own over the years. If something happens, I do something with the Green Girl. So this Green Girl, actually, this has happened. I did this the first, couple months of the pandemic. So she has on a mask, and in her head she has like those little tempo balls are in her head. If you can look at those tempo balls, there's the earth in there crashing the other four. At the time, the earth was sick, right? Because we're dealing with a pandemic. So I have this earth in there, and it's kind of banging against other balls to kind of get the whole tempo of how we're going to move, right? Then you have the trees at the top. There's like a fish eye in there. There's actually a seahorse that's in there. And the only reason I put the seahorse, because I just want to paint a seahorse. No rhyme, no reason. And it really made sense. But the whole idea of this particular Green Girl was her sexy mask. That was a mask, but it's kind of lacy. It's kind of, I wanted to make her soft and feminine. You know what I mean? I still want her to have that feeling of a woman that you need, you want to hold her, and you know what I mean? But at the same time, back to my color theory days in Atlanta, I had to have the colors just really fall together in harmony, triads and tetrads and things like that, split complements. Everything had to work with the Green Girl in this particular piece. This is one of my favorite pieces, just because it just came out really good. Again, another piece that was quick, because I was in a mode, I was in a zone. You know what I'm saying? We was trying to figure out how, the kids out of school. Do I need to go ahead and order all the masks I can find, the K95s or whatever weren't available. So, everybody was in chaos at that point. But yeah, so this particular Green Girl was really one that really actually the last one I've done. I haven't done another Green Girl since then. This is the last one, so might retire her for a minute.
Awesome. I love it. I was going to do 2, but I'm enjoying it so much. I'm going to do 3. But before we do 3, let's do a quick transition, right? Yeah. I see Jim right there is enjoying the conversation there, Mr. Jim Micken. So let's pause for a couple questions. Yeah. And then I'm going to, lastly, after a few questions, we're going to have you analyze another one for us. Okay. But let's take some questions. Who got questions? You can raise your hand, take yourself off mute.
Yo. What's up, man? It's Roman, man. What's up, Darius?
Oh, what's up, Mr. Barker? How you doing, brother?
Man, you just turned me onto a whole new aspect of who you are, brother.
Hey, man, I appreciate you, man.
You know what? Look, Desert Storm, veteran, ATL, 95, 94, 95, 96, 97.
Okay.
I know we crossed paths.
I'm sure.
Hey, but check. I'm going to hit you, man, because I was just thinking about you 2 weeks ago. I work at the VA.
Right. Okay.
In the emergency department.
Okay.
And I was just rapping with my interior designer saying, I know this brother, he's an artist, and can we buy out outside the box? You just dropped me, you're a veteran. It's all good, player. Oh. So, hey, I'm going to hit you up. I'm going to hit you up offline. But I'm glad you reached out to you, man. Good work. Good knowing a little more about you, brother.
Hey man, you
And,
already know what's up, man. We connected a couple weeks ago, so you know it's all love.
Man, it's a special connection, brother. I mean, damn.
Yeah, it is, man. Look, we building, we adding on. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's love, man. I'm so glad you follow me, man. Number love, man. I definitely want to take you up on whatever you got going on, man. I love to be a part of it.
Yeah, for sure. I'll reach out, man. I'll reach out probably next week or something.
All right, that's what's up, man. Lots of love.
Hey, man. Congratulations, man. This was great, brother.
Hey, thank you, bro. Appreciate you.
Oh man, that's Durham love right there, man. Oh man,
it's love.
Ain't nothing like Nicole. You gotta tell Sonya, man. Ain't nothing like Durham. We gotta make sure we let her know we appreciate her city.
Hey, nothing like the Bull City. You better understand what it is.
Okay, what other questions we got? Go ahead. Let's get some more people to speak up. What questions we got?
Looks like Nina. Nina has her hand up.
Okay, go ahead, Nina. She can type it or she can speak it.
Hey, how's everybody?
Hey.
Hey, so I have a very serious question. Darius, it's been a very long time. I'm so excited and so proud to see you doing so exceptionally well. My question is, you paint the most amazing women. You depict women in the most amazing ways. I love all of the paintings that you do as it relates to women. So what's your inspiration? How did you get to that point? Tell us.
Oh man. First of all, I love women. And it took me a long time to paint women because I didn't want to like do it wrong. You know what I mean? So I think as I've gotten into the game and doing more, I really start with the ladies, with the women eyes. The eyes really mean a lot to me. So I really put a lot of energy in the eyes. And, it's just like, again, I mean, I love women. I mean, my daughter's probably the greatest woman I know. I'm sorry, young lady that I know will be a great woman. And I love her and my grandparents, my wife. And I mean, I've really gotten I just love painting women. So I know I really put a lot of effort when I'm painting them to make sure that their emotions are correct, or they look soft and they look, nurturing. And so I really put a lot into that. And for those who don't know, I've known Nina for years and years and years. And we actually attended the American Intercontinental University together back in Atlanta. So
we did.
I've known her and she's watched me fall in love with the color wheel from back in the day. So I'm glad you're here. Good to see you, Nina.
Awesome. Nina, I appreciate your question because as I was saying, I wanted to just look at another picture, right? I wanted to look at another painting and just kind of have Darius talk to us. And I'm glad you said it because I couldn't really put my finger on it, but you're right. This brother does have a gift for displaying the beauty.
Yeah.
And I'm glad he said I love women.
Yeah. I would be the wrong. I'm not going to be the one that gets it wrong when it comes to trying to paint women or just their movements and like dancers or their bodies. And as you well know, if it wasn't for the colors that I use, I mean, again, I'm a color theorist. And, this particular painting was actually, it might've been a second person in this painting with her, but this was the most sexiest portion of her that I believed in. So that's what I painted. You know what I mean? And sometimes I try to dumb it down for me to just paint the parts that I like the most. But then in the process, I give it something like, if you look at her lower back, there are three butterflies that are flying up her lower back if you really look close. So what I like to do is I like to throw in some contrast in the piece. Although it may seem from far away to maybe just a sexy lady, but if you look real close, there's always something else in there that creates the harmony in the pieces like her. Because, I just want to make it universal instead of just making it like, this is a beautiful lady with her hair in her head, with a hand in her hair, with like some gold hoops. I want to make it an actual painting. You know what I mean? To where you can hang it in more than one place. create something universal. You know what I mean? A lot of paintings like this can actually get boxed in, if you only be shown certain places, but she can be shown everywhere.
Wow.
And I truly believe, I think that's what I've been wanting to do when it comes to painting women, or when it comes to painting like faces. I want to be able to have it shown everywhere, So, yeah. So that's
Darius, thank you for that. And I brought up this, and shout out to Nina, because we were like in the same place, right? I had this on deck. I'm getting ready to put it up there. I'm gonna tell you what I see when I see this, and all respect to the artist. When I see this, I'm like, how did this brother paint this image from behind?
Yeah.
But it's a sister.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Hey, listen, let me tell you something.
I'm like, that's a sister. I'm thinking Instagram sensational model.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's funny because I do the same things with like ballerinas or, anyone. I think that's really good to know, if you can automatically know that's who she is. That's her background. I think I really try to get that across when I'm compiling those brush strokes for the final project. So yeah, that's you know exactly what she is. No doubt.
And then, like you said, you can put it anywhere.
You put it anywhere. Yeah, that's my thing. I don't want to box you in thinking, oh, I got this lady, I can't hang her here. No, I want to. If you really look deep within those lines of mine, you'll see there's a harmony that I've created within that piece, based on colors or shape or contour. I've definitely created that harmony. So, yeah.
That's all right. That's all right. So let's Darius, I want you to get us to tell one more story.
Yeah.
And while you tell this one more story, I just want to kind of, as we get close to wrapping up, I want to hear the story about how you sold your first piece worth $25,000. I want to hear that story. Yeah. And for the audience, get your questions on deck. Any questions you want to ask. Darius talks about anything. If you want to, hear about, how would you approach the topic with children? How would you support your artist if you can't afford a piece? How can you buy his pieces? If you look in the chat, several messages have been sent on how you can connect Darius. You can hit him up on his IG, his Instagram. His work is currently on display at what's the gallery again, Darius?
5 Points Gallery, 109 East Chapel Hill Street, right in the heart of downtown Durham, across from the Cafe. Yeah, that's where we are.
That's all right. So you can see his pieces there. You can buy them. You can hit him up on IG. You can commission the brother for a personal piece. I'm thinking of a Black Moses right now. So I'm like, how would Darius do a Black Moses? So that's where my mind is right now. But Darius, tell us, while people begin to think about their questions, tell us the story of how you ended up in the place, in the mind state, in the readiness to sell your first piece of $25K. And where you were before that moment and how you got there.
Yeah. So, that was a crazy moment. I had no idea that piece would sell for that. But to kind of give you some background, rest in peace to the late, great Spencer Howard. He was like my mentor of sorts. He kind of saw me back in the day and he said, man, I really believe you have something going on good. So, he would hit me up and, I furnished his house and I furnished his dental offices down here in Durham and up in Greensboro as well. But he was really inspirational in pushing me to do more. Like he wanted me to get out the house and do some things. But he was telling me about this group and take you back some. He's one half of the creator of the Invisalign, not the Invisalign, but the mouth guards for like boxers. Floyd Mayweather wears. So he's one half of those guys. So he had a lot of stuff going on in in New York with a lot of big artists up in New York. And he would always tell me, like, bro, say you just as good, if not better than these big artists is making all this money. He would put me out in the game and say, yeah, I got to have your art. We got to push you forward. So long and short, I did a Basquiat piece. I painted Basquiat, the late great Basquiat, like maybe a 30 by 40 piece. And he took it to New York, put it in one of these shows. Okay, I forgot what it's called, the name of the show. But the Huffington Post wrote it up. They wrote about this particular show. Swiss Beats, a lot of heavy hitters was in it. That particular piece ended up selling that night for $25,000, and I was blown away because up until that point, I had no idea that real money existed in art. You know what I mean? Like for me, you know what I mean? I knew it existed, but I didn't know that I actually could be part of that crew. That was an amazing moment. And actually, the folks that bought that piece actually commissioned me for more pieces after the fact. And they, some Black doctors that live in like the southern part of North Carolina. So it was just an amazing thing to be part of, to be written about, and just kind of, you know, makes me feel like I'm on the right path. It made me feel like I'm on the right path at that time. And I've been aiming to get back to that and put in the work, and hopefully we'll get some good eyes and some good pieces along the way. But that was an amazing moment. You know, I went from that piece, that was 5, 6 years ago, to when I first started off. I sold my very first piece for $100, and it took me 3 weeks to produce that piece. You know, it was one of those things. I had one piece. I was back in the day, 20 years ago. I was painting animated stuff with, you know, guys playing bass guitars and, you know, trumpets and such. And I sold that piece for $100. You know, 20 years later, I'm selling a piece for $25,000. So it was just an amazing transition that I didn't think it was going to happen, but I'm glad it happened. But I knew I put the work in for it to happen. So, you know, we're looking forward to the next maybe $1 million spot. We'll see.
Awesome, man. Well, you know, keep following that inspiration, man. I love it. I'm glad I started drawing. Yeah. You know, people always talk about my Daddy Rich logo. I'm like, a logo? Yeah. I just drew that during COVID, right?
No, it's dope.
You know, and I had some friends of the family. They was like, "Can you do it again?" I'm like, "Man, I can't do that again." I just, you know, I was in a moment. But you know, I appreciate you, Darius. I appreciate you doing for what you do. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for blessing me. We're going to go to questions, but I just want to kind of say this before we go to questions, is that thank you for, man, I can't even remember. I just knew 15 years ago, I'm doing event planning. Back then, I like high-end events, you know, bougie wine, cigar, art. I'm like, this brother got some art. He can come bless us, and it's going to be this whole experience, you know what I mean? And back then, you believed in me, man, and you came and you supported me. You believe in me now as I'm doing this podcast. You know what I mean? I got a meeting with my board of advisors on Saturday. It's going to be about like 6 different people who are really, really trying to say, Calvin, we love your show. We love what you're doing. We want to invest in you. We want to help you go to the next level. So 12 months from now, you'll be rated as, you know, top cultural podcast, blah, blah, blah. But I could not do that without people like you, without brothers like you who have a story to tell, who got from A to Z, but it was not a straight line. So I just want to thank you, brother, for being here. Oh, thank you for your support, man, because this kindred spirit, this thing is real. So let's go to the audience. What questions do we have, Tamika?
Somebody put in the chat, does he sell prints for the financially impaired?
Show do. Actually, I do sell prints on the website Great Big Canvas. I'm not sure if they're selling their price points are for what she's asking, but I do sell prints that way. That's the only way I sell prints.
Okay, and that's greatbigcanvas.com.
Yep, greatbigcanvas.com. That's the only place to sell prints. Like the first thing I ever sold was a print. It took me like 3 weeks, almost a month to make that joint. So I haven't sold prints on my own since.
Awesome. Yeah. You know, a part of your story, and we got time for more questions, then we'll wrap up at 9:30. So there's one thing I like about the story when you sold that 25K piece is that you weren't in your best place. You're in a place where you were feeling some kind of way. Oh yeah. You know, like you say, as a creator, as an artist, we're some sensitive people.
Yeah.
You know, I'm glad now I can finally, you know, tell people why I'm sensitive, right? You know, but the thing is that what that gentleman came, first of all, he believed in you.
Yeah.
And I think the word you said is he said, get out this house.
Yeah. 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 He told me, yeah. I mean, I was stuck in the house, man, because I was, you know, the kids were young. I was raising kids. You know, my wife was working in UPS and she was making her moves. And, you know, we were scratching and getting by. And I was tucked away, kind of away from the world because I was in a situation to where I was teetering on do I want to continue to be an idiot, or do I want to, like, you know, step up in these man boots and raise these kids proper? You know what I mean? So, you know, I was behind closed curtains, and he said, "Yo, you're sitting on talent. You know, let's get it out here so somebody can see it." And I took his advice, and he put me in the game, and he gave me inspiration. He made it possible for me to do that, and let me know it's okay. Just stand behind your worth, stand behind your passion. He gave me that. He gave me that courage to do so, and you know. And not that I was like, you know, I've always been confident in myself, but he definitely pushed the envelope to actually make me understand that people want to see what I was doing. So that, you know,
awesome.
That really helped a lot. You know what I mean?
Awesome. I see Nakota got a hand up.
Yeah.
Nakota, was that an accident? You got a question? But yeah, I love that, Darius, because, you know, as a country boy, I've never been short on confidence.
Nah.
But there come these moments, these times, right? And I just love that moment because I just feel like, I don't know what happened, but yeah, I just feel like something happened there.
Yeah, it's almost, especially when we're doing, when you get used to doing things bad, or people looking at you bad, or, you know, down their nose. You know, for me, I was kind of like, well, if I expose myself, they're only going to shoot me down.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, if I expose myself now, they're only going to tell me that I'm not worthy. You know, go get another job, do something else. But I took the shot, and it worked out for me. You know what I mean? The confidence was not. I was not short of that at all.
That's all right. Thank you. Go ahead, Nakota. I think you're on mute. Can we take him off mute?
I just sent him.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm good. I'm on now. Darius, as far as like art, I know you say that you're in a gallery in Durham. Do your pieces travel? And if so, how many pieces do you let out at any given time?
Yeah, they do travel. It just depends on what I have, I guess, as far as the inventory goes at that moment.
So let's say you got 30 pieces on deck that could roll.
At this time, I don't. If I did, they were all dope. Yeah, they can roll. But you know, sometimes I have 30 pieces that I may not want to show. Like right now, I probably have 30 pieces in my house right now that would never see the light of an art gallery or anywhere. Not because they're not good, because they're just, you know, my family hijacks certain pieces for them, but especially my daughter. But yeah, if I have those pieces, man, definitely they can go. And I will say I've been blessed. I've been blessed lately. I mean, what I've been producing has been selling, so the inventory is kind of low. I mean, I'm turned that corner now. It feels good to think that if I put it on canvas, somebody wants it almost immediately. And that's always a good thing. But yeah, if I had 30 pieces now, yeah, they can travel. Maybe set a show up. You set me up like 2 years from now, give you 30 pieces, they're yours in 2 years.
You know, it sounds like Nakota is working on a master plan, and as
at least 2 years.
As simple, he should say, now they want to play my funk. So now they want to buy your funk. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, yo.
So now they want to play my funk.
That's
so I think Nakota is working on a master plan. Nakota, I think we should chop it up, man. Offline. I think we have an opportunity because, you know, we got to get Darius back in Atlanta. You can't stay too long. We ain't gonna let him to stay more than 24 hours. Hey. Atlanta boy, I tell people they got all your bad habits. Whatever you want, they got it.
Hey, listen,
but, you know,
I'm scared of Atlanta. You know, I have a brother who lives in Atlanta right now, so I don't know. I want to go. Atlanta. I haven't been back in 20 some years, so I don't know.
Yeah, well, we definitely got to get you back. And Nakota, you know, definitely let us know. I'll give you Darius's information so we can chop it up because, you know, where's the world getting ready to open up, man, there's going to be a lot of opportunity. So as we exit, I just want to say thank you for the people who are here tonight. Thank you for this conversation, right? Dakota, thank you for, thank you to your wife for, I know you guys are juggling some stuff like that, for you being here. Thank you, Darius, for being here, for sharing your gift with us, for sharing your story with us. The inspiration that comes from your story is that not everybody has a straight path. Not everybody has that pretty story. Sometimes it's the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
And that elephant don't look right all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And sometimes you just got to keep doing what you're doing. And sometimes you need people who truly believe in you.
Yeah.
To tell us what we already know. So, brother, thank you for being a testimony. Thank you for being a blessing. Man, I give shout out and love to you. Give shout out to your family. Thank you all for supporting this brother doing his thing. As a dad, I know people be looking at us crazy sometime, and they don't get the message to 20 years later, but trust me, you will get it.
It'll come. Hopefully it's not too late. But you know what, though? As long as you got a good village like you guys right here, support means a lot. So got to get everybody through everything. So mad love to you, man. Thank you, Cal. Connecting, reconnecting. Bull City. Dakota,
Bull City. That's Bull City.
Yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
rolling, bro. I gotta go.
Hey,
thank you. So anybody who know me, I'm going to play a few songs until we drop. Go ahead, Darius. You want to say something else?
Yeah. I want to say mad shouts to my gallery crew, Jenny Blazin, Jim, Natasha's here, Donna Stubbs, Teddy's here. Gotta show love. If I missed you, Susan Woodson, some more folks. Anyway, but I gotta show love to my 5 Points Gallery crew. I love y'all. Y'all know what it is. I'm glad y'all support. And everybody in the dirty, you know what it is? I love y'all.
Thank you for joining us at Southern Soul Livestream Talk Show. Join us weekly at soullivestream.com. If you're joining us live, we'll take a quick music break and then come back for discussion with the audience.